מסכת ערכין, page 3. We are 3 lines from the top of the page. I would like to share with you first a story from the Imrei Emet, the great Hasidic of Gur Rebbe. The story goes that in those years it was a landlord-tenant issue, a fellow who owns several properties. Unfortunately, one of his tenants lost her husband, and over the period of time, she was late in rent, and then she didn't pay the rent, and he sent her a notice of 30 days eviction. When the widow with the young children saw it, she gets a tremendous stress and trepidation, and she approached the Gemach, the community Hebrew free loan, and those chesed fund, those funds that are available for people in the community who are pressed for fund. So the people of the Gemach, the people who are in charge, approached this landlord and asked him if there's any way that can solve, and he said no. I don't need to pay her rent or to participate with that. It's her responsibility. So in short, they brought that situation to the Imrei Emet, the great Hasidic Rebbe, and he called upon the landlord, who is one of his followers. And he said to him, if you ask me the question, want me to make the psak, the ruling, I can base it on the Tractate Arakhin, what we are studying here, and we study a little bit more on this subject in the past, such as Tractate Bechorot. But here in Arakhin, there is a subject of a fellow. In those days, they owns a servant or a slave. So trace a situation that you have 2 fellows, let's call them names, Reuven and Shimon. They own a slave, and let's use modern day's number. Let's say Reuven put $1 million and Shimon put $1 million over lifetime servant. One of the partners, Reuven, make a decision that he's freeing, he no longer wants that slave to serve him, and he wrote him a get piturin, a bill of freedom. So you have here a situation of a fellow that he cannot marry in a regular manner, or he cannot function in a regular way, because it's called chetzio eved vechetzio ben chorim, meaning he is half a servant and half a free person. So the rabbis teaches us that in a situation like this, we enforce the leftover owner to release here. To release him, he have to give him emancipation. He have to give him freedom, because this is one of those situations that he holds the responsibility. So the Imrei Emet derive from that also here it is you, meaning the landlord, the responsibility to settle and to handle that poor widow, and you cannot impose upon the Gemach or the community to participate or be responsible for that. We're going to study today many fascinating subjects. One of them is the participation of zimun. We learn in Tractate Brachot and other times when we have a group of people that eat together a meal. Meal for our discussion is something that we say hamutzi, meaning we use the bread for the meal, and as a conclusion of the meal in those days, it used to have a group of people, let's say minimum of 3, that one of them does the zimun, meaning the leading part of the grace after meal, and everyone else in those days used to listen and basically fulfill their obligation of partake of that grace after meal. Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, tells us nowadays we do have zimun, but as far as the participation, everyone needs to say clearly out loud so he can hear it, his own grace after meal. But how about a minor? What's the minimum age and what's the situation of a minor, especially if the minor understands the meaning of the brachot? Can we have him join with the zimun, with the special with the leadership of one of the three in the blessing after meal, and much more of the concept of hakol. Hakol chayavin bezimun. Here, the Breita tells us that when it's come to a mitzvat zimun, the idea of making this a grace after meal, so everyone is obligated to, all are obligated to do the zimun, and that's the nevarech she'achalnu mishelo. Without Elokeinu, we need Elokeinu, so the minyan needed. But we study it in Brachot 49b. You see it also in the code in 192 in Orach. But anyway, the Mishnah Berurah in Kuf Pei Bet 183 basically said that each of the participants needs to say it either in a silent way or join with the mezamen, but there is one leader that says it obviously out loud, La tuyei mai. So what we derive from that, and does the word all, what is come to include, La tuyei nashim va'avadim. So to include women, in those days they used to have a Canaanite servant. The Tanya will learn in different Breita, nashim mezamnot le'atzman, va'avadim mezamnim le'atzman. We learn that the women join the zimun by themselves, and slaves join the zimun by themselves. So another point of hakol mitztarfin lezimun latuyei mai. So when we said all combined to complete the three people zimun quorum, what is come to include? Latuyei katan hayodea lemim mevarchim. That's applied to a minor who has this level of understanding, who knows the meaning of the words, and know to whom we recite this blessing. Damar Rav Nachman, katan yodea lemim mevarchim mezamnim alav. If you have a minor who knows, who understands, comprehend the meaning of the bracha, and to know to whom we recited, we can have him, we join in zimun on account of him. And there is a Rambam in Ilchot Brachot, chapter 5 and others, that disputed the Rambam. The question is, what's the minimum age required for a minor? There are those who say that it's someone who at least reached the 6 years of age, and otherwise cannot take him as someone who is capable to understand. There are others, you see the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, and the Beit Yosef, that others, if it's a minimum hair growth, public hair growth, but obviously it's only one minor with two adults and not two minor with one gadol. That's the Or Sameach expand on that, if that's the final halacha, or it's just an option. Anyway, hakol metam'in beziva. So here we based on the Mishnah in Tractate Zavim chapter 2, says all become ritually impure toward a ziva discharge, la tuyei mai. What is come to include? La tuyei tinok ben yomo. You have an infant who's 1 day old. The Tanya, that's what we learn in the book of Vayikra, chapter 15, verse 2. Ish ki hiye zav mibsaro zovo tamehu. So because you use the word ish, what is that? It's a ish meaning a man, right? So ma Talmud lomar ish. Why we need to have it twice in the Torah, the word ish? So this come to include לרבות תינוק בן יום אחד שמטמא בזיווה דברי רבי יהודה. Buddha said, even hypothetically speaking, to include an infant who's 1 day old, that he can become a contaminated to ziva discharge. That's the view of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yishmael bno של רבי יוחנן בן ברוקה אומר, אינו צריך. It's not, you don't need this limud, this teaching. שהרי הוא אומר, because they said at the end of the section that dealing with in a Torah of nida and ziva over there, they said, זאת תורת, ועזב את זובו לזכר ולנקבה. לזכר, for male, כל שהוא זכר בין קטון בין גדול. לנקבה, כל שהיא נקבה בין קטנה בין גדולה. So regardless to the age, as long as that in their framework of category, אם כן מהתלמוד לומר איש איש, so what's the story? Why do we need the Torah to repeat twice the word איש? דיברה תורה כלשון בני אדם. The Torah simply spoke here according to the language of vernacular, or the language that average person, the people who speaks. So you can use it as a Greek or Latin methodologies. They use the word anthropomorphic, which means anthropomorphism. It's a language that people use to illustrate something that is abstractive or godly or cannot be used in a, but for us, for our discussion, it's a basically a human language. Chok Natan add to that, and he said that the reason that it repeats ish 2 times, so he said that even it's not come to derive anything, it's just to use the people language. But anyway, הכל מטמאים בטמאי מת, להטויי מי, anyone can be a recipient of ritual impurity of a corpse. What's come to include? להטויי קטן, even a minor. סלקא דתך אמינה, because we go by the pasuk in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 19, verse 20, the Torah said, איש אשר יטמא ולא יתחטא. איש in, meaning only a mature adult. Katan, lo, katon, meaning someone who's a minor, is not included kamash malan. So therefore the Mishnah come to teach us by using the term hakol, ve'al nefashot asher hayu sham. So it means that all those nefashot, meaning souls that can be capable of being a recipient to ritual impurity of a corpse, regardless if it's the mature adult or minor. Ela ish lema'utei mai, so they use the word ish, what they come to teach us, lema'utei katon mikaret, meaning it's a minor that entered the mikdash while he is ritually impure. Hakol metamim benegaim, that's a Mishnah in Tractate Negaim, chapter 3. That's applied to nig'ei tzarat, some type of, you can use the term of leprosy, la'atuyei mai, la'atuyei katon, meaning minor that being recipient of Tum'at Tzarat. Sakad atach amina ish tzaru aktiv. And the Torah said in Vayikra chapter 13 verse 44, ish tzarua hu tamehu. Ish in, meaning only mature adult, katon lo kamash melan. So the Mishnah used the term hakol to teach us that even katan can be a recipient of ritual impurity of tzarat. Ve'ima achenami. So they said, Adam kiye bor besoro. Adam meaning mikol makom, regardless if it's gadol, if it's katan, it's no matter the age. Vela ish lamali lechdetanya. Ish tzarua hu tamehu, the pasuk said. Ein li ela ish isha minayin, that also she can be involved of transmitting ritual impurity of tzarat. כשהוא אומר והצרוע הרי כאן שניים, meaning male, female. אם כן, מה תלמוד לומר איש? לעניין של מתה, which means the pasuk, at the end of 45, they said, בגדיו יהיו פרומים וראשו יהיה פרוע. So it means, איש פורע ופורם, ואין האישה פורעת ופורמת. So basically, the men can be involved with a tzarat afflicted man, leaves his hair unshorn and tear his garment. but a tzarat afflicted woman does not leave her hair unshorn or tear her garments. Hakol ro'in et hanegaim. So they all may examine the tzarat afflictions. Hakol ksherim lir'ot et hanegaim. That's a Mishnah in Tractate Negaim, chapter 3. All are qualified to examine tzarat affliction. La'atuyei mai, la'atuyei sheno baki bahem shmotehem. So they come to include a Kohen who is not an expert in recognizing them, the different types of tzarat afflictions, and their names. Ve'amar mar eino baki bahem b'shmotehem eno ro'eh et hanegaim. But we learn that a Kohen is not expert in recognizing them and their names, may not examine the tzarat affliction. Amar Ravina, Lokashia, the masberele, had the masberele v'sarvar. Here is that when Kohen who understands when they explain to him, versus the masberele v'lo savar, that the ruling of the Rabbi Akiva applies that the Kohen who does not understand when they explain it to him. Akol ksherim lekadesh, all tahor person can be qualified or sanctified the water with the ashes. La'atuyei mai, what's come to include Rabbi Yotal, la'atuyei katan, l'rabanai la'atuyei isha ditnan. Akol ksherim lekadesh chutz mecharesh koteim v'katan. All people who are tahor are capable, are qualified to mix the water with the ashes, except for a deaf mute, deranged person, and a minor. So that's the opinion of the sages, which include women among the qualified. Rabbi Yehuda machshir bekatan ufosel beisha ve'androgynous. Rabbi Yehuda qualified a minor, but disqualified women and androgynous. Hakol ksherim lehazot, that's a Mishnah in Tractate Para. All are qualified to sprinkle the purifying water of the para aduma. La'atuyei mai, what is come to include. So they said that come to include la'atuyei arel, which means Israel that would not have the Brit Milah. Uched Rabbi Elazar, Damar Rabbi Elazar, Azer shehiza za'ato kshera. He says, by force of circumstance, if you have uncircumcised person that sprinkled the ashes, the mei chatat, the sin asher, on the someone who's ritually impure from contamination of touching a corpse, so b'diavad it's kasher, it's befitting. That's Gemara in Yevamot 72b, explained into the whole Kal V'chomer Udvul Yom, and you can see it over there in Yevamot. Hakol, since we use this language of Hakol several times, so that's Mishnayot in Chulin, page 2 and page 15. Hakol shochatin la'atuyei mai. So it means everyone can be qualified to do shchita. What they come to include, chada la'atuyei kuti, v'chada la'atuyei Yisrael mumar. One, it's come to all to include a kuti, and one comes to include a someone who's mumar, who is basically a Jew that betrayed, that renegade. You can use the Jew. Now it's Hakol, that's a well-known Mishnah. We studied in Tractate Tubot, page 110b. Hakol ma'alin le'eretz Israel. Literally meaning that every person can force his household to make aliyah, to ascend and to live in Eretz Israel. La'atuyei mai, what is come the all to include. Page 3b, la'atuyei, it's come to include avadim, Canaanite slaves. Uleman de tane avadim behedya la'atuyei mai, and if you follow according to one who teaches the case of Canaanite slaves explicitly in the Mishnah, so what's come all to include? They come to include someone who's forced to move from beautiful dwelling in the diaspora to a bad dwelling in Eretz Israel. Even such a person may be forced to move to Eretz Israel. And you should know that there's a lot of responsa, and it's not literal the way it's written here, but it's much more involved with details. And everyone should ask his prominent posek when it's come to this. ואין הכל מוציאים לעטויי מי. Meaning, he may be forced, none of them, to leave Eretz Israel. So what's come to include, like, תויי עבד שברח מחוץ לארץ, to include a Canaanite slave who fled from outside of the land of Israel, where his master lives, to the land of Israel. So the slave may not be forced to leave Eretz Israel. הכל מעלין לירושלים. Everyone can be forced to ascend to Yerushalayim, which means even the dwelling in Eretz Israel, they can be forced to live in Yerushalayim. And again, do not take it just the literal way, and you have to ask a prominent rabbi when it's a practical question. La'atuyei min hava yafa lenava ra'a, which means the place, the beautiful place in Eretz Israel, versus that very bad place in Yerushalayim. Literally, a person can force it, but as we said, that it's a much more to discuss. Ve'en hakol motzi'im, so he cannot go the other way around, but he may force none of them to leave Yerushalayim. La'atuyei mai, what is come, the word none come to include, la'atuyei min hava ra'a lenava yafa, again, from bad dwelling to beautiful dwelling in the rest of Eretz Israel. Hakol chayavin besukah kohanim levim v'Yisraelim. All are obligated mitzvah of yeshivat sukkah, include kohanim levim Yisraelim. Gemara said pshita, that's obvious. If they are not obligated, who else is obligated? Kohanim tzrich alei. Sagad atachamena, you may think that because ho'il uchtiv basukot teshvu va'amar mar, the Torah said in Leviticus 23, should dwell in Sukkot, and we derive from that the Tanah teach teshvu ke'ein tadu, the same way as you dwell. Mad dira ish v'ishto, sukkah ish v'ishto, v'hane kohanim oil b'nei avodah ninu, since the kohanim are basically serving the Beit HaMikdash during the festival of Sukkot, and therefore they should be in state of purity, so therefore cannot live in a sukkah with their spouses, with the wives. Lo lichayvu, they will not be obligated to dwell in a sukkah. Kamashmalan, they come to teach us, no, they are obligated in the sukkah. The whole idea of not be exempt from the mitzvah of sukkah. Even the exempt doing the service in Beit HaMikdash from the mitzvah of the sukkah, which means during the day when they are so occupied and busy with avodat Beit HaMikdash, belosh avodah, shat avodah, time that they're not serving, which is at night, chayuvei mechayvei, mida dehava olchei drachim, the same way as the travelers during the festival of Sukkot, the Amarmar, olchei drachim bayom, pturim min ha-sukkah bayom v'chayvim balayla. Those who travel during the day and park at night, so they are exempt from Sukkah during the day, and they are obligated at night. So there is a much more to talk about it. You see it in the code, you see it in the Bi'ur Halacha, and Magen Avraham, and much more. הכל חייבים בציצית כהנים ולווים ישראלים פשיטה, כהנים סגלתך אמינה, יצטריך עלי, סגלתך אמינה, ולכתיב לא תלבש שעטנז, צמר ופשתים יחדיו, ותורה prohibited the diverse kind, גדילים תעשה לך על ארבע כנפות סוטיך, מן דלא ישתרי כלאיים לגבי בלבישה ודמחייב מצווה ציצית, וההנה כהנים, and this type of כהנים, הואיל וישתרי כלאיים לגבי, since for them in this rare circumstance, all the isur levishat shatnez, all the prohibition against diverse kind, because if you look at the garments of the Kohanim that they wear, they have this garment, this avnet, this girdle, this belt that contain wool and linen together, which the issue of kilaim in usual manner it's prohibited, but this is the exception. Lo lichayvu, so that you may think that they are exempt from the mitzvah of tzitzit. Kamashmelan, so therefore Tana teaches that the Kohanim obligated the mitzvah of tzitzit. Neid yishterein beidan avodah, ach belo idan avodah lo yishterei. הכל חייבים בתפילין, everyone obligated in the תפילין, כהנים לווים וישראלים, פשיטה. כהנים יצריך עלי סגלתך אמינה לכתיב, וקשרתם לו לדיך ולטרפות בניך, everyone knows what said in דברים chapter 6, you should bind them on your hands and be totafot between your eyes, called the mitzvah de yad, eite mitzvah de rosh. Anyone who have the mitzvah of hand, it's also applied to head, ואני קונים ולוויתנו במצווה de yad, דכתיב ילבש על בשרו, שלא יהיה דבר חוצץ בינו לבין בשרו. So therefore the Kohen is not, cannot put the tefillin on his hand. So you may think that the mitzvah of tefillin shel rosh are exempt during the time of Avodat Bet HaMikdash, kamash melan. So therefore the Tana teaches us the lo me'ak ve'adade. So it means that they doing the Avodat Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim are obligated to put tefillin shel rosh, even they are exempt of tefillin shel yad k'detnan. That's Mishnah in Menachot, page 38. תפילה של יד אינה מעכב ושל ראש, ושל ראש אינה מעכב ושל יד. מה ישנה דיד? דכתיב ילבש על בשרו, ראשנה כתיב ושמתה מצנפת על ראשו. תנה שערו היה נראה בין הציץ למצנפת ששם אני יכפין. So the hair was between the ציץ and מצנפת of the Kohen Gadol. That means that that's the place that feeling of של ראש. הכל חייבים מתקיעת שופר. When it's come to ראש שנה, they're all obligated to hear the sound of the shofar. כהנים לבלו 20 פשיטה. כהנים הצריכה להסגד את החמינה, הואיל וכתיב, they said in במדבר chapter 29, יום תרועה יהיה לכם, this is the day of תרועה, so that apply is one day, Monday, תהילה בתקיעת אחד יומה. This apply only those who obligated one day hearing the תקיעה, חייב, והנה כהנים ולוויתנו בתקיעה כולי שעתה, so they are obligated mitzvah of the tkiya for the whole year round. דכתיבו תקעתם בחצוצרות על עולותיכם, אימה לא לחייבו. So the Gemara said, midame, how you compare hatam chatzot, hacha shofar, how do you compare between trumpet and shofar? So that's total different. It's tzrich sakedat achamina, ho'ilu tnan, that's in Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah 26b. They said, shave yovel leRosh Hashanah letkiya v'livrachot. So the yovel that making in Yom Kippur on the Jubilee year, they both, when it's come to blow the shofar, it's in both the Rosh Hashanah, letkiya v'labrachot, that's the three brachot of Malchuyot, Zichronot and Shofarot, which means you see here that we compare yovel and Rosh Hashanah, that you may think that eite b'mitzvat yovel, eite b'mitzvat Rosh Hashanah. Only you may think that one who's obligated to mitzvah of yovel, he is obligated of the tkiat shofar Rosh Hashanah, the leitei b'mitzvat yovel, leitei b'Rosh Hashanah, v'hane kohanim olvelitneu b'mitzvat yovel. Ditnan, that's a Mishnah we're going to study Mitzvah on page 33b. Kohanim ulviyim mochrim leolam. So kohanim ulviyim, they sell the field in Eretz Israel anytime, even during the Jubilee year, unlike Israelim, that if they sell during the year of Jubilee, they do not have chalot mechira. Page 4, and by the way, we don't have much time, but is the Tosfot here challenge the 2 point of Rashi. But anyway, the Goalim, Kohanim Levim, can redeem the Sdei Achuzah leolam anytime, even after their sale, unlike Israelim, that's when it's come to Israelim, they only after 2 years. So here, Eima, so you may say that the mitzvat Rosh Hashanah namelo michayvu, so they are not obligated in the mitzvah of blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashanah also. Kamash melan, so the Tana does inform us that they are indeed obligated because nehi delitnehu behashmatat karka. So here Rashi said to us, klomar, and you know that when Rashi used the klomar, something bothered him. But Rashi said here, klomar bechol din hashmatat karkaot ha'ktnan mochrim le'olam ve'achilat kodashim mishum kapra udechtiv v'achlu otam asher kupar b'alem שהכהנים אוכלים והבעלים מתכפרים הם הלא תיבאי זימון כמשמע לן. So in general it means that they are not subject to the mitzvah of releasing real estate in its entirety, which means that the whole law of Yovel, the extension of Yovel law, does not apply to Kohanim and Leviyim. However, we learned before that they can sell land on Yovel itself. בהשמדת כספים בשולח עבדים מהאיתנהו. So they are, regardless in any event, subject to the mitzvah of releasing money and freeing slaves. So that's enough to prevent their being disqualified by the idea that only those people subject to the mitzvah of Yovel are subject to mitzvah of blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. So you don't need to have the Yovel law in their entirety, as we assumed earlier in the Gemara. And in Mitzvah tomorrow we'll expand on that.